work towards being the best person that you can be, I mean, really, not playing with yourself, just working on the flaws that you know that you have, and then working on the strengths that you have. If you really do that, that's how we can make the world better.
Welcome to the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann, and this is the show where we bridge the gaps one story at a time. And today I have here with me Keith Young. Now let me tell you a little bit about Keith Young. If I were to describe him, this is what I would tell you. If you were walking into a building, let's say you think that the building is a library. You walk in and there is this spiritual being that's there, no feet on the ground, just this spiritual being. Any question that you have, be it African American history, being spirituality, any question that you have, Keith will be the one that you would ask. I call him the enlightened one. Keith, thank you for coming on the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This is not only the enlightened one, but the keeper of knowledge. That's what I look at you as. When I think about all the knowledge that you have, and I think about how you love to share it with others, you do, is it monthly workshops?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do these monthly workshops, and you talk about everything. African American history, about being slaves, about media, about the Bible, like any subject, you have the knowledge on it. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Who were the people that raised you?
Well, I was raised by my mother, primarily. My father was in my life, but he had drug habits, so he was in and out. And then my grandparents. My grandfather and grandmother, predominantly. So they're the ones who raised me. And then I did have, I had aunts and uncles, and then there were some various men in the community who actually, they weren't there to raise me, but they kind of lended a hand, or, took me to go play basketball, or just a conversation every now and then. As the older I get, the more I can see the village that was, there, even though sometimes we don't see it as much today, but it was definitely there. There were people who stepped up and who, shared things with me and, just kind of helped to shape and mold me.
Yeah. When you think back to the young Keith Young, what or who was the person or the people that really helped you to move into the area of where you are right now? Who helped you with the knowledge? Is this something that you've always had? You've always been a seeker of knowledge, or did you just come to that conclusion or that space as an adult?
I was always a seeker of knowledge. When I was very little, I always felt that there was just something I didn't know, that it was very important that I needed to know, though. It was like my ignorance was somehow holding me back. And I knew that from, just being little, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how to figure it out. The turning point for me didn't really come until I got really closely associated with Black history before slavery. I had a friend who introduced me to that. I was literate. I was a pretty good student, so I had been through history. I understood it, the gist of it, right? And then I understood everything about slavery and Jim Crow and the Civil Rights era and all that, but no one had ever shared any information with me about what we as a people were doing before the time of slavery or the triangular slave trade. And so when I got a hold of that knowledge, it was like a lot of the questions that I had since I was very little started to get answered. And it was like going down the rabbit hole, that proverbial saying. It was like one thing led to another, and I always have been very interested in lots of things. And so some of the classes that I teach are about the things that I discovered that were watershed moments for me. Like, wow, okay, well now that makes sense. Or this makes sense with religion, or this makes sense with media, or this makes sense with how we act and interact in the public or in the educational system. All that just kind of unfolded when I got a hold of that particular information. And there was a person who introduced me to it, a lady I was going out with, who, just she shared some information about these scholars I had never heard of before. Dr. Charles Finch, Dr. John Henry Clark, and Dr. Yosef Ben Yaqin. And I never heard these guys before. But she had a couple of videos of them, and what they were saying was so fascinating, I wanted to go get more. So I went and found more videos from them, and then whatever books they said they read or wrote, I went and bought them. And that just changed my life. I just kept doing it. I just was voracious,
Yeah.
So once upon a time, I've always been a reader. I liked a lot of fiction. I like science fiction. I like fantasy and things like mystery. But when I got a hold of the historical information, it was over.
It was over there.
Yeah.
You know what? I was just, as I listened to what you were saying, and you said that there were some questions that you had that were answered. What kind of questions were you asking? What were you really seeking?
I was seeking why was I in the place that I am today, or at that time? Why do people think of us the way that they do? Why is it that we have such a hard time getting along with one another? You and I can have a conversation, but in groups it seems like these nasty things start coming out of us, or even within the family dynamic. We could be cool, but let grandma die, or something like that. And you start to see the nastiest parts of your family. And so I wondered things like that. I wondered, if there was something beyond. I often gravitated, like I said, towards science fiction and things like that. So I wondered if maybe we could have superpowers. I wondered if there's something else besides the mundane that's really going on. Is there really a God? Are there angels? Or what? Greek mythology. There was always something to that to me. There was a lot of things that people said were not real, that something inside me says, no, you might want to look at that again. But the rational world says, no, that's fiction, that's fantasy, leave that alone. Go to school, get a job, and have some babies and 2.5 kids and white picket fence, and that's success when it comes to living in this world. That's the American dream. But I always felt that there was something more, and I was looking for it.
What did you find?
I found that once upon a time, all of the things that we think of as fantasy and fiction really was. Once upon a time, we weren't, slaves and jigaboos and whatever other, racial epithet they wanted to call us. But that there were these great kingdoms that we started, that our people were the originators of culture and civilization and mathematics and the sciences and they told me that the father of medicine was a white Greek man named Hippocrates, and they left out that he venerated a black man named Imhotep. I didn't know that. Imhotep literally had written these books on medical procedures, or these scrolls, because they didn't have books like we call them today, but these scrolls that they found on medical procedures ranging from brain surgery to eye surgery, taking out cataracts, fixing bones, how to work on the inner organs of people. According to history that I learned in school, nobody was doing that prior to the Romans. And then after, even the Romans or the Greeks, they were pretty crude, and they often, spoke about them as kind of being ignorant or backwards. They had these funny beliefs that just didn't wash out over time. And it wasn't until the whole Renaissance era where they really got into, well, let's just toss out the things that we believe and just look at what's in front of us. If what's in front of us, if we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't smell it, we can't hear it, it's not real. And then let's dissect it. So they started breaking things apart. And let's see what's inside. And I learned that, some of the more ancient sciences of indigenous people around the world was not to disintegrate something, but to look at it as a whole. Like, so when they would address sickness or illness, they would ask about your emotions. If you come and say, well, I'm not feeling something, I'm depressed. they would ask you, well, when did you stop singing?
Mm.
When did you stop laughing? When did you stop dancing? What does that have to do with depression? Well, it has a lot to do with depression when you understand what the frame of mind you have to be in to be able to sing or to dance and laugh. And so I kept finding out these little fascinating tidbits that, according to the history that we've been taught, are not relevant or didn't even exist. But come to find out, wow, all these wonderful things that people who look like me were among the first people on the planet of recorded and unrecorded history to accomplish. And that did something for me.
Mm-hmm.
It helped to change what I thought of as being my potential and human potential.
Wow.
Which I think that's the next frontier. Breaking into just how far can we really go.
Right. And I'm glad you kind of segue into that. I was watching one of your videos, a promotional video, where you were talking about like astral projection.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself, most nights out of the week, I listen to binaural beats, sleep meditation music,
Mm-hmm.
and I have this thing in me that I don't know the fullness of it, but I feel like in my dreams that there's something that's there that I need to tap into. And so when you talk about astral projection, explain that to us.
Astral projection is like, I don't know if you've ever seen they have these little dolls, and when you open it up, there's another doll inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then you open it up again, there's another doll inside. And that's kind of like really how we are as beings, as physical beings and as spiritual beings. You have different bodies, if you will. So besides your physical body, if you just ran your hand over your skin, you kind of feel some heat on the outside of that. That's an energy body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have an energy body, an astral body, a mental body. The astral body is the one when we're talking about astral traveling, where just like there's these dolls inside of dolls, there's the different shades of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like tuning a radio. If you tune to a different channel, you get different information.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with astral traveling. If you're able, you said you listen to binaural beats and do different types of meditation, that helps to tune your consciousness to these different levels. And you can travel through those, just like I can get up and walk out of here, or something people tend to be more comfortable with than talking about astral traveling is dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream; it was real vivid. I was walking around, I was talking to my grandma, I was doing this, and largely a lot of people are able to accept that because a psychologist would tell you, well, it was all in your mind. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And what I found is that's a very profound ignorance that the scientific community at this time, by and large, not all of them, but enough of them where it's a part of the our culture that those things are not real.
Right.
And those things are very real. And just like in a dream, when you astral travel, you forget it when you wake up. It starts slipping away.
Right.
Just like a dream.
Right.
And so it's important, if you are interested in astral traveling, most of us do astral travel and we don't remember it, or we think it was a dream. And what I found has helped me to understand what I'm doing is to keep a dream journal next to my bed. And so when I wake up, I write down as much as I can remember,
right,
or at least the gist of it, to kind of put what you're doing is, or what's happening is when you wake up, if you were astral traveling or you were, in this profound dream state, your consciousness is not in here. It's not in this meat anymore. It's out. And when you wake up, it starts to come right back in. And it's almost like, how they said, if you sit inside of a lead box, it'll protect you from radiation. Yeah. Well, that's how our bodies are. The body, physical body, protects your consciousness from all the stuff that's going on out here. And it keeps you from accessing that too. So as you wake up, your consciousness starts to dull to the spiritual world, and to the astral world, and gets more back into the physical thing.
Wow.
So
we're going to take a quick break. You do not want to go anywhere. You want to stay right here. We'll be right back. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show.
Iology Inc., an innovative navigational and creative company that works with its clients from the inside out. We believe in walking our clients hand in hand, from concept creation to brand management. Our innovative process assists our clients in conceptualizing, developing, building, rebuilding, or restructuring their lives, businesses, and brands. Are you ready to be seen, heard, and remembered? Contact us at iologyinc.com.
Focus One Entertainment is Detroit's premier entertainment company, but we're not just an entertainment company. We are your #1 multimedia resource. Focus One has combined years of talent and experience in order to bring you what you're looking for in a video, a polished professional product. F1 Entertainment specializes in filming workshops, seminars, and corporate presentations. More and more businesses are utilizing video production services to create web virtuals, online marketing content, and promotional and corporate training videos. Your company can do the same with Focus One Entertainment. Contact Focus One Entertainment at 313-444-3638 or visit us on the web at www.focusoneentertainment.com.
And we are back. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show, and I am talking with Keith Young. Now, you call yourself Hero, and explain what you mean when you call yourself Hero.
Well, once again, when I started to learn more about our history, I learned about this mythological character named Heru. Mm-hmm. And Heru was a young person of color from Africa, Egypt proper, and once upon a time it was called Kemet. Mm-hmm. And anyway, he was like the prototype for heroes. He was a young boy. He was born. He was very weakly, kind of sickly. His father was gone. His father was, not in the household. He was raised by his mom and some other community members. Mm-hmm. And his mom had an intention, though, to raise him to be able to rule and to be a king like his father. Raised him to inherit what his father was supposed to have. And so that was very intriguing to me to find out that the name Heru is where we get the modern name Hero from. Mm. And then doing a little bit more research, I found out that most heroes are born ignorant of who they really are. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, that's a really profound correspondence, because I was born ignorant of who I really am. And then I look at our condition as, people in the world today. They call us minorities and, black, Negro, colored, and things like that. We're born ignorant of who we are, who we were, what potential that we have. And what the hero does, however, is he goes on this journey of self-discovery and of discovering what's really going on out there in the world. And when he discovers that, it's so profound and it's so life-changing that he takes that information back to his community and says, listen, there's a whole wide world out there. There's a whole lot of things we can be doing. Perhaps we're being oppressed right now, and we don't have to be. Perhaps somebody else has our inheritance and we need to go fight and get it back. Mm. That's the path of the hero. Now that's written in books. You can find that books by a man named Joseph Campbell, who was a historian and mythologist. And what he did was he looked at mythology from all around the world, and he found these common threads throughout all of them. Mm. And the common thread is that, the hero goes on this journey that he doesn't always want to go on. Or he or she, because a hero can be. As a matter of fact, one of the name hero was from a Greek woman. There was a Greek goddess named Hero, which they don't mention too much. And that's something that I found fascinating too. As I went back in time, first you get to, well, we weren't always slaves. And then you get to where there were all these great kings and doctors, but it's really, really masculine. And I'm like, well, what about the women? And I kept looking, and there's a whole history of these great women, black women, women of color, whatever you want to call them, right? Who did some amazing things, and come to find out they laid the foundation for the guys to do a lot of things.
Wow.
So they were the doctors, and they were builders.
Wow.
They were warriors. The Amazon thing, that's a real thing. They'll tell you that's mythological. That's absolutely not true. There were Amazon women who started in Africa and then went all around the world, and they were setting up new civilizations in the places that they went. They would set these places around, they would determine where the sacred spots were, and then they would begin building out from there. Educational centers, medical centers. They would begin to spread agriculture, start growing things. They were the first people to tame horses, and they did something that today we call the Army Corps of Engineers. The Amazons had a corps of engineers that basically they would go and they would see where there needed to be a bridge. They would see where, basically they would get the lay of the land and start building.
Wow.
Women.
Wow.
Right? And they don't tell you that. The first mathematicians, the first astronomers, the first astrologers, the first, real scientists were women. And they taught these sciences to their children. And so that was under something called matriarchy. But all that's tied to this journey of the hero. And so I call myself a hero because I had to go on my own journey of self-discovery, and finding out that the world isn't what I thought it was. And once I got this information, I felt it was very important to now bring it back to the community and share it with others who may have had the same questions, or they're on their own path. They're looking for something. Maybe they don't know what it is. And they have questions, and it's like, I don't have the answer to every question, but the answers that I do have, I'm more than happy to share.
Right. and you have done that in such a way. I've been in a couple of your workshops where you're talking about certain things, and the way that you share the information, it is just like you just sitting here talking. It's so eye-opening, it's so mind-opening, and I wonder, when we get to that space where we decide that there's more, what should be the things that we should first start doing?
The thing you should first start doing when you decide that there's more, or you learn that there's more, figure out how you can go get more. That's the first thing you start. Those are some of the integral keys of learning how to affect the world around you as opposed to being affected by it. Most people are just, whatever life throws at them, they just kind of roll with the punches. I just wake up and whatever happens, I'm going to deal with it. Well, the next level of that is, well, what am I going to do to this day? How am I going to express my will on the universe and say, no, this is what I want to do? And it's not hard. You set some goals, and then you make some action steps towards those goals, and then you actually do it.
How easy is that? I would like to say how hard, but let's say how easy is that?
It's as hard as a person makes it. It's as hard as a person. And a lot of the barriers to that are where we get the programming part, is where you get, people have low self-esteem and don't know why they have low self-esteem. Like, where'd you get that from? And it's a combination. You get it from a lot of places. You get it from your family. Your mama telling you what you shouldn't do and can't do, and your grandmama saying little snide remarks and comments, and your uncles and people like that, and then the things that they show on TV, the things that we've absorbed through movies and books and magazines, and all these little things that kind of nitpick at who we are and how we look and how we feel about relationships, and those things keep us from thinking that we're good enough. There's people that, oh, I'm not good enough for that. It's like they have a dream, they have a goal. Something inside of them says what they're supposed to be doing. I can't do that. That's what holds most people back. It's not that we're even under that much oppression.
True.
It's not. In America, just the simple fact that I can be sitting here having this conversation with you, and it's going to be broadcast.
Right.
We not under that much oppression.
Right.
Go over to China. Go over to some places in Africa. Go over to some places in South America, and you'll see real oppression. You'll see people who literally have to figure out what and how they're going to eat every day if they're going to find some clean water.
Yeah, that's true.
I can go, when I leave here, I'm going to go sit in the hot tub. I'm going to go have a nice meal. I'm going to go, and then there are people, there's shades of it. America has shades of suffering. It has shades of prosperity and people who are more affluent. That's true. And, we are under a lot of mental oppression when it comes to the things we see on the news and the activities of, bad police officers who gun us down in the street, or the racism that we may encounter. But still, this is what, our ancestors was fighting for.
Right.
We have a lot of opportunity that we're not even taking advantage of at this point.
That's true.
Because in our mind, we're still shut down. And we haven't figured out, you actually can do some things.
Right.
You actually can make some things happen if you just work towards them, what you want to do, as opposed to the program that you're given. That's, the biggest hurdle to get over that I've found.
Yeah. How do we begin to kind of allow ourselves to no longer be in bondage of those things that you listed, the media, our grandparents, our uncles, all these different people that have kind of programmed their tuning into us? Mm-hmm. How do we begin to let that dissipate and kind of move into a different area of life?
I really believe that education is the key for that. Not the education you get in school, the education that you give yourself. Read books that you find interesting about the things that you want to do. If you want to be successful, go get some books on being successful. As you read and absorb that information, every answer is not in a book, but what happens is the more knowledge that you soak up, that starts to unlock things in your mind. Mm-hmm. When you see other people who have done things, when you read their testimony, like, I almost gave up. I used to live in the gutter. I used to sell CDs out the trunk of my car. I was homeless. And then you find out that they just kept going and persevering. And you're like, wow, their circumstance was worse than mine. Right. I can overcome too. I can, if someone else has done it, then that means you can do it as well. And there's so much untapped potential that we have. I'm telling you that our ancestors started this thing that we call civilization. All of it, in all of its aspects. And we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to doing that today.
Right.
I found that the further back I went in history, the more it started to sound like science fiction.
Wow.
And we're not there yet. We're not even close to there yet.
Right.
And I'm of the belief that if they could do it, we can do it. And so the more you learn about those things, that helps to unlock those barriers that you set up in your mind.
Right.
I believe that every person who had, no matter what spiritual system or religious system that you adhere to, if you do it sincerely, you're going to run into what you need to.
That's true.
Instead of, I believe that if we stop kidding ourselves or playing with ourselves and doing things halfway, that if we start to just be really earnest and honest with ourselves. There's a lot of people who their hang up is their dishonesty about who they are, what they like, what they want to do. They lie to themselves and they lie to other people.
That's true.
If you stop doing that, just stop with that, then you'll find a lot of the barriers that you've actually been setting up against your success start crumbling down.
Right.
Just be honest with yourself.
And who is Keith? Who would you say that you are with all the knowledge that you have attained? How does that work in your life?
Well, I've always respected knowledge. I've always respected wisdom, and I feel in my heart that it's my duty to share what I've found and to help to educate, enlighten, and inspire other people. I don't know what you really call that. Maybe a shaman. That's the word that's coming to my mind right now. And not in the spooky sense.
Right.
You know me, I'm not a spooky guy.
No.
But a shaman in the sense that, you know, we have a body, mind, and spirit that needs to be addressed and healed.
So true.
And so that is what I feel is my work. Me first, though. I mean, I can't help anybody when I can't help myself. That's been the hardest lesson, you know. And sometimes when we start getting into different types of information, or I know, you know, and then you want to tell everybody else. But it's like, well, did you do that yourself first?
Mm-hmm.
Did you take those steps first? Are you telling people some things that you just learned, or you just read in a book, or are you telling people some stuff that you tried?
Right.
Now, when you get to the level of, well, yeah, I tried it. Well, that's where the real life lessons comes in, because I can tell you not just what I read in the book, but I can also tell you what happened when I did it, how I messed it up, how I colossally messed it up and fell into a hole. And then when I clawed my way out of the hole, I'm going to turn around to my brother or sister and say, listen, I tried this and I got through it, but there's a big freaking hole right there.
Right.
Don't fall in that. And so that's what I try to do when I teach people. You know, I try to come from a place of sharing, as opposed to I'm the guy that's telling you what to do.
Right.
You know, it's not.
All right. We're going to take a quick break on that note. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Focus. The state or quality of having or producing clear definition. Focus One Entertainment is the premier videography company in the Midwest. We specialize in weddings, corporate events, documentaries, sporting events, and films. Regardless of the scope or budget, we approach every project the same way, by capturing and clearly defining your vision. Contact us at 313-444-3638 or www.focusoneNtertainment.com.
And we are back. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann, and today we are talking with Keith Young. A plethora of knowledge you are, and we're not even like scratching the surface to who you are and what the amazing knowledge that you have and you always share. What has been some of the things that may have tripped you up? We talked before the break about that big hole not to fall into. Mm-hmm. Give us some examples of some holes that you fell into and had to claw your way out of.
Well, my first one was just blind belief. Believing in people or believing in things that they say and not testing it. Just thinking that it's going to happen. It's just going to work out.
Yeah.
And there is a level of that you're supposed to have, right? But you have to go beyond belief. You have to go into actually working through it. You know, so when I first thought I had something, I was on to something, it was like, well, you know, this path is just, it's a golden path in front of me. It's just laid out. It's, you know, I got it now. And then, you know, you go and get messed up. And you figure out that you can't just, you know, think that pie in the sky is coming or somebody's coming to save you or fix it for you, or no, you actually still have to work your way through it. You have to take your belief with you, but you got to work through that.
Right.
So that was the the first trap. The next trap was personally having to work through my own stress and anxiety and issues that I had about, life, love, work. And it got pretty bad as far as I got stressed out to the point one time where my back went out on me. Wow. And I literally woke up one day and couldn't move. And it was just because I was letting the stress and the pressure and things like that get to me so much that it just immobilized me. And what helped me to get through that was I had just begun reading some books about success and successful people, and one of them was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And there was so many gems in that book, and I just decided, I'm going to try it and see. And the thing that helped me out of those pitfalls the most was going the extra mile. The habit of going the extra mile, just putting extra effort into it, not just doing what you need to do to get by, right, but doing that and then going above and beyond that. Mm-hmm. And when I started to do that, things start turning around real fast.
Oh wow.
And it was so fast, it was like, damn, like, wow, that's amazing. Like you really try it and see what's gonna happen, and it really started happening, like just like the book said. And so that really helped me out for some of the pitfalls. A lot. The next biggest one is one that a lot of people have that are helpers or givers, where you don't have a filter on that. You just give. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is that takers take, and learning to have healthy boundaries. That's one of the things that I had to work on. And it's funny because when I talk to other people about that, they're like, yeah, but I have to, and I can't stop. I'm like, well, you need to have boundaries. No, but if I don't just, it's like they don't even want to close themselves to being used. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it boils down to. I love to help people, hate being used.
Right.
And I had to come to that understanding to not let people. And I'm the one that's responsible for whether or not I'm going to do something or not do it, or whether or not I'm going to allow someone to use me or not. And it hurt. It literally almost physically hurt to tell people no. Mm-hmm. Nope. But the more I did it, the more I could do it and be unapologetic about it. The next thing was not just tell them no, but not have to give them an explanation either.
Right.
I don't have to explain to you why I'm not going to let you use me.
Right.
I'm just not going to let you use me right now. Right. I can't do that. I got other things that I'm doing. I'm working on. Then don't get me wrong. I love helping people in the community. I love helping my family members and friends and things like that. But I'm not going to let you use me. And that was a hole I fell in time and time again, trying to help and rescue someone. I'm a hero, right? So I'm trying to rescue people, and I need rescuing.
Right.
People are like, I'm hungry, I don't have no money, and I'm like, well, here's $10. That's my last $10, and then I gotta struggle to get to work. I gotta struggle to get lunch. I just gave somebody money I really didn't have to give them, out of the kindness of my heart. I know where that comes from, mm-hmm. but you still have. I'm like, I have children.
Right.
That was a thing that, I had to learn as well. I'm like, I have to provide for my family first. If I'm not strong, if my children are not strong, they looking all raggedy, and then I show up at your children event and I'm gonna tell all the children how to be great.
Right.
And my children looking funny in the face. That's not how this thing should work.
Right.
You could try to make it work out like that, but that's a big hole. Avoid that. Protect yourself. Feed yourself. Do the things that you're preaching to other people to do first, and then what you have left over. It sounds cold when you say it. It sounds kind of funny, especially to people that are givers.
Right.
But you don't give your last, or you're going to be last.
Right. That's true. That's true. I hear everything you're saying. I am one that people will probably think sometimes of cold like that, because I shut stuff down like easily, and I stay trying to be focused right here. And so sometimes that comes off as cold to other people when I'm not, running all over the place for them.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do what it is that I need to do so that I can be successful.
Yeah.
And I understand it when other people are like that.
Yeah.
I automatically do. I'm like, they got their thing. They're doing their thing. I'm cool with it, But sometimes most people do think that that you're being cold or you're being aloof or whatever the situation may be.
Well, I just have an issue with flakiness. Don't tell me you're going to do something and then don't do it. And that's how I try to live. Where I'm not going to tell you something and be hemming and hawing, and then I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's where I have an issue. I'm like you. I don't have a problem with other people doing their thing and having their own time schedule and things they have to work through. But don't tell me you're going to help me or work with me and then you disappear. That's not cool.
That's true.
And so I try to be as direct as possible and as compassionate when I say it as possible. If I can't help you, I can't help you. If I can't show up to your event, I can't show up to your event. But if I promise you that I am, I try my best to do that. That's the gray area I don't like, where people get real slick acting or real funky, where they don't, just don't lie to me, or I understand things come up. Communicate that.
Right.
That's a big thing where a lot of people don't like to communicate clearly. And I think a big part of the problem is they not communicating clearly with themselves.
And it's that ambiguity, if I'm saying that right, being ambiguous, where you don't really have to commit, or you don't.
yeah.
You can just kind of stay in this gray area. I kind of said it, but I kind of didn't. So that kind of area. You do a lot with meditation. Tell us how and what the benefits have been for you when you do meditation.
It's helped me to just tap into a different part of myself outside of the world I live in. It helps me to tap into my inner world. And that's been very profound, because it's helped me to get down to the nitty-gritty of, well, what am I here for? What do I want? What do I have to offer? And that has it's just been a profound experience. It's helped me to have insights into myself and into my work and into the world around me. It's odd that when you meditate, you're going inside. It's just you're trying to close out the din and dangle of the world and really listen. I've heard that cliche where when you're praying, you're talking to God, and when you're meditating, you're listening. And I find that to be true. You're listening for what's going on, what's happening, and how you can make yourself a better person.
Right. If share with us what you believe from a spiritual sense or perspective. What is it that you believe?
I believe that we live in a universe that's profoundly connected on levels that we still have yet to really understand. But I do believe that we're all connected. I believe that everything is everything. I believe that even in struggle, even people who hurt you, they were in your life for a reason. They were there to teach you something. Even the people who love you, the situation that you ran into, I believe that all these things are helping to help us spiritually evolve. That's what I believe is going on. I think that a lot of the talk about evolution got mixed up when they're talking about, monkeys turning into men and birds turning into lizards and things of that nature. I don't believe in that so much as I believe in spiritual evolution, that we're supposed to be getting better.
Right.
I believe that the universe works like a pendulum. It's off and on. It's dark and light. It goes around and around and around. It's so even when there's these dark times, that there's light coming on the other end of that.
Yeah.
It has to. That's just the universe that we live in. It's polarity. If there's light, if you living in the sunshine, sometimes it's gotta rain.
Right.
It's gotta be dark. Just like we have daytime and we get to enjoy that, there's going to be nighttime. Just like we love summer and the heat and being out in the sun, there's winter's coming.
Right.
And when you understand that, it helps you to understand how the world works. And it's not like the world is working against you. It just is.
Right.
You have to learn the rhythm of life and then step into your part of the dance.
Wow.
That's my belief.
That's good right there. I like that. So when we talk about life, what's on the plan of life for Keith?
I want to continue to educate people, and I'm doing that. I want to expand how I do that. Instead of just talking to people, I have some books inside of me. I have some movies inside of me. I have some creation and creativity. One day I may have a school. So that's something that's on the horizon. Education is so important to me, because to me that's how you break into a person's mind and help them to elevate it through educating them. And so that, to me, that's the ultimate goal. Not to be a thief in the night to break in, but like to break in and put good stuff in.
Right.
I'm not trying to take anything away,
right.
Except I am trying to take away ignorance. I'm trying to take away foolishness. I'm trying to take away people who feel less than when they shouldn't.
Right.
So I want, like, there is some nastiness that's been placed in there, through all of the things that we went through with slavery and everything that went along with that. Right. Even after slavery, everything that went along with racism, and even before then, we were fighting each other. There's something there that needs to be taken out,
right,
and filled in with the potential that we have to be great.
Wow. You have a new book that's coming out, and that's Black Goddess. So let's talk about this book.
All right. What do you want?
So tell me, why Black Goddess?
Because she has been erased from history, literally erased from history, and there were these black goddesses, if you will, all over the whole planet. And they just wiped that out, and they replaced it with these male gods, the father god. And so it's father this, father that, father, and I'm like, where's Mama? I really appreciate Mama better. She seems to love me more, be more kind and nurturing. And anyway, that to me is the gateway for women of color to tap into their divinity, to tap into their spirituality, to tap into that success mindset, because that goddess energy is all around us. It's all around all these women that we love and hate, and there's reasons that these women have. There's women that are fighters, there's women that are lovers, there's women that they love to be pretty and prissy, and there's women that's
right.
And there's a reason for that, because that's a part of how the goddess expresses herself through them. That's important to know. I feel it's important to know, because I'm like, that's going to help to unlock this potential that needs to,
So when is this book coming out?
January. My goal, I've been working on having it published by January 2018. So I've been working very diligently towards that. So it's called Black Goddess, Legacy of the Sacred Black Feminine. And on my website, www.sacredblackgoddess.com, you can find information. You can even pre-order the book. It's going to be a full color coffee table book full of illustrations that I created, and I'm actually a really good artist, so it's not going to look janky.
And I saw one of the illustrations on Instagram. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's going to be nice.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working towards currently. So
cool. January. Early part of January. Awesome. Well, why don't you share with us where we can find you, where we can find any of your material, any of your classes. I know there are a few that I want to attend, because I just saw something earlier and I'm like, I got to talk to him about that.
Well, so my classes are on hiatus right now because I'm working on the book. But you can find my work, some of the videos of the classes that I have done, on afroperspectives.com. I have videos on Vimeo that you can purchase, and then I have some videos of my classes on YouTube that you can watch for free. And those classes range from Black History Before Slavery to the liberal arts, understanding etymology, mythology, decoding the media, understanding how colors, pictures, words, sounds, how those affect how you think. Just a lot of things that I discovered that will help us all to understand the world around us and how we could use it, and also understand how it's being used against us.
Right.
So those are some of the places where you can find me right now. I'm not sure where I'll be doing my classes when I get started up again, but they'll be somewhere in and around Metro Detroit, I'm certain.
Awesome.
So.
Well, why don't you drop something in our spirit that we can take with us until whenever?
If you really work towards being the best person that you can be, I mean, really, not playing with yourself, just working on the flaws that you know that you have, and then working on the strengths that you have. If you really do that, that's how we can make the world better. I firmly believe that healthy, grounded individuals make healthy, grounded communities. And that's what we're striving for, right? So if you really work towards being a better you, that's going to allow you to help other people. It's going to allow you to help your community. It'll allow you to just express love throughout the world. Because you can't do that when you hate yourself. Right. You can't do that when you hate other people. You can't do that when you're always mad. You can't do that when you feel like somebody's always holding you back or you're not getting where you want to be in life. You can't. So the only way to break through that is to really just be the best person you can. And if you do that, I think that you'll be doing your part on the world and in the universe.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. This has been the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I am your host, Kai Mann. Thank you and good night.